Today is Wednesday, January 6th, 2021, and we're convening the organizational meeting of the Cuyahoga Heights Schools Board of Education. Mr. Muccio, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Zetter.
Here.
Mrs. Schukert.
Here.
Mr. Suchaki.
Here.
Mr. Naaman.
Here.
Mr. Dobbins.
Here, 5 present, none absent. On behalf of the board, I'd like to welcome all students, staff, parents, and interested community members to today's Board of Education meeting. Due to the passage of House Bill 404, the Ohio Legislature officially extended the effectiveness of House Bill 197, which grants authority to public bodies to hold and attend meetings by means of teleconference, video conference, or any other similar recording technology. House Bill 197 was set to expire December 1, 2020, but House Bill 404 extends the virtual meeting authority until July 1st, 2021. In order to hold such meetings, the public body must meet qualifications related to providing adequate public notice, methods of public participation, and distribution of information and materials. The board believes it has satisfied all criteria to hold today's meeting by teleconference or video conference. A copy of the board meeting agenda is available to review on our school district's website. Would you join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of
America.
Indivisible,
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve this evening's agenda, please?
So moved.
Mr. Naaman moves.
Second.
Ms. Schukert, was it second?
Yep.
Ms. Schukert seconds. Is there any discussion?
Just, I thought that the ski club advisor was on there and I don't see it. I don't know if.
I saw it actually earlier.
I saw it yesterday. I mean, I saw it when I looked at it.
Well,
Yeah, I saw it too.
It
was
needed to
right
be
by the-
removed. Somebody removed it and it should have been removed, so that's okay.
Oh.
I was gonna say we're gonna, because they called the ski resort and they gave away all of our times that we had reserved, and they said you don't have times reserved for the season. And when they heard we went on remote, the resort automatically assumed that we weren't going to have a ski club, so they gave our times to other groups, so we can't get any times at the slope, so
Oh.
we're not going to need a ski club advisor.
That's disappointing news.
Yes.
Are there any other changes? So that item should be removed from the minutes of tonight's meeting then?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other changes or comments for tonight's agenda? Okay, hearing none, can we proceed to a vote then, Mr. Muccio?
Mr. Naaman.
Aye.
Mrs. Schukert.
Aye.
Mrs. Zetter.
Aye.
Mr. Suchaki.
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins.
Aye, the motion passes 5-0. Agenda item 3A. This is the election for calendar year 2021 of the president of the Board of Education. I am now opening the floor for nominations. Well, I would like to nominate Ms. Lindy Schukert for the president of the board for this coming term. And that is, I'm looking at the agenda documents, that doesn't require a second. And we can also solicit other nominations at this point. So I'll wait for a minute or pause for a second to see if anyone else wants to submit nominations. Okay, hearing no others, I can now accept a motion to close nominations and ask Mr. Muccio to cast a ballot for Ms. Schukert, our nominee. So
I'll move.
Mr. Naaman moves. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second. Well, and see, this requires a unanimous vote. So Mr. Muccio, would you call the roll then, please?
Naaman.
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins.
Aye.
Mrs. Zetter.
Aye.
Mr. Suchaki.
Aye.
Mrs. Schukert.
Aye.
Excuse me. The motion passes 5-0. It's a unanimous vote, and I congratulate Ms. Schukert and thank you.
Thank you.
So at this point, the item 4A on the agenda is for the election of vice president, and Ms. Schukert, I just ask you if you'd like to, or actually you need to accept the oath of office according to the agenda.
Yep.
Okay, so here's my question with this whole remote thing. Would I see, oh, can I press the content thing, Mr. Muccio?
Yeah, it should, I can,
It's not, okay, so,
Yep.
okay, because it wasn't allowing me to press it on that. Okay, so are you gonna read it, Mr. Muccio, or?
either or. You can read it or I can read it on your behalf.
You
Whatever
have
you
such a nice voice. I'd like you to read it.
Not a problem. Lady
Please.
Schukert, do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge your duties as President of the Board of Education of the Cuyahoga Heights Schools, Cuyahoga County, Ohio, to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office?
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And congratulations, Mrs. Schukert. And I'll repeat the question I had before procedurally. Now that you've been administered the oath, do you want to carry forward with the meeting, or should I continue for the election of vice president?
I am happy to do the election of the vice president, if that's okay.
Great.
I won't do it as smoothly. It's going to be, take some time to get used to it.
Okay.
All right. Item 4A, election of vice president for calendar year 2021. I'll open the floor to nominate, to take nominations for vice president for this school year or this calendar year.
So I would like to nominate Gary Suchaki to be the vice president for calendar year 2021.
I will second that. Are there any other nominations? Okay, at this time, I'll take a motion to close nominations and cast the ballot for the nominee.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Naaman.
I'll second. Sorry, Ms. Etter.
Yeah, second, Mrs. Etter. Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Muccio, for roll call.
Mr. Naaman,
Aye.
Mrs. Etter,
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins,
Aye.
Mr. Suchaki,
Aye.
Mrs. Schukert.
Aye. The vote is 5-0. Congratulations, Mr. Suchaki,
Thank you.
Vice President for the calendar year 2021. And Mr. Muccio can read your oath if that's okay.
That would be wonderful.
Mr. Gary Suchaki, do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge your duties as Vice President of the Board of Education of the Cuyahoga Heights Schools, Cuyahoga County, Ohio, to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office?
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations and thank you to both of you.
Thank you. Moving on to board president comments. I just wanted to say thank you, starting off, to my fellow board members for entrusting this responsibility for the calendar year. I look forward to running the meetings smoothly. I like that word. I think that's the word of the day. But also to help with the communication, especially since we're in such an awkward kind of time right now. So I look forward to working with all of you. I want to also thank the administration. You guys are rock stars in my book, in all of our books, I think, and I look forward to a year of working with all of you. I just personally am excited for 2020 to be behind us, but I know that we have our work cut out for us in 2021. And I feel very confident that we're going to continue to be able to face any challenges that come to us head on, as we do at Cuyahoga Heights, with compassion and hard work. And, getting our kids back to school safely is always the priority. And just I want to end with saying Happy New Year. Hope everybody is rested and ready to go. All right, moving on to item 6A. Or 6, I should say 6, organizational meeting business resolution, 6A. And this is going to be a consent agenda, so I'm going to read through them and then we'll go for a consent vote. Item A, motion to adopt board by for the board's own operation and board policies as recommended for the operation of the school system as recommended. 6B, motion to set the time, place, and dates for the board's regular 2021 meetings, ORC 3313.15 per attachment. 6C, motion to establish a service fund at $15,000 for calendar year 2021 for the purpose of defraying board members' expenses actually incurred in the performance of their duties. This law allows the funds to be up to $20,000, ORC 3315.15. Item E, motion to designate the Cleveland Plain Dealer as the official publication of record for the posting of all legal advertisements of the Cuyahoga Heights schools. Item F, motion to appoint the superintendent and treasurer as purchasing agents to the district. Motion 6G, or item 6G, motion to authorize the superintendent and treasurer to apply for all available state and federal funds and grants. Item H, motion to appoint the superintendent as spokesperson for the board, and the school district. Item I, motion to authorize the superintendent to employ personnel and resignations as needed during the calendar year 2021. Such employment and resignations will be reviewed by the Board of Education at its next regularly scheduled meeting. Item J, motion to approve the attached list of appointments to committees or liaisons in 2021. And you can see that board member list, so hopefully everyone's had a chance to look at that attachment. And we can change that if we need to further down the road. Excuse me. Item K, motion to set the school district's credit card limits for the calendar year 2021 according to policy 6423. Huntington Bank credit card, $25,000 for the treasurer and $2,000 for the maintenance supervisor. And the Home Depot commercial account, $5,000 for the maintenance supervisor and Woods class teacher. Item L, motion to approve the following wireless communication allowance for calendar year 2021 according to board policy 7530.01. $60 per month for those required to carry a data plan and $35 per month for those not required to carry a data plan. Item M, motion to approve the performance bonds be secured as follows for the superintendent in the amount of $50,000, for the board president in the amount of $50,000, and for the treasurer in the amount of $100,000 for calendar year 2021 or upon expiration of current bond if applicable. Item N, it is recommended that the Board of Education authorize the treasurer to invest interim and inactive funds as prescribed by the Ohio Revised Code. Item O, it is recommended that the Board of Education do two things: adopt the alternative tax budget for fiscal year 2021 per attachment and direct the treasurer to submit the alternative tax budget to the Cuyahoga County Fiscal Officer in a timely fashion as prescribed by law. And item P, it is recommended that the Board of Education hereby authorizes the treasurer and or Brinza, McIntyre, and Seed to act as agent for the Board of Education related to filing and signing real estate tax complaints. Item 7, those are the board, oops, hold on. Those are the organizational meeting business resolutions. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda's organizational meeting resolutions as listed?
So moved.
Ooh, this
Tie
is-
between Joe and myself, I think.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You can take it and I'll second.
So motion made by Mr. Suchaki and seconded by Mr. Naaman.
Yes.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none.
That are listed are the same. There are no changes. The bond numbers are the same. Credit card limits are the same. The reimbursement numbers are the same. So there's no changes in any of those numbers. The board service fund, there's no changes in any of those from last year. So those are, all the law firms stay the same. We still keep on Haber, Polk, and Cabot. They're kind of at no charge, but we keep the ability to work with them if there's something has to be done recovery-wise. The same with Welper, Weinberg, and Reese. They get a percentage of the collection, so there's no upfront money to them. And again, David Seed with Brinson McIntyre and Seed has handled our tax and our property issues, and we can also use them as general counsel, and John Britton will remain our general counsel as well. So
I had a chance to speak with Mr. Muccio today about the board's service fund, and I'm happy to report that our expenditures are well under that $15,000 ceiling that we are voting for. So I'm taking away from that that we're being good stewards of the public's money. I hope that everyone would agree with that, but that's the conversation, part of the conversation Mr. Muccio and I had today, and I thank him for his time.
And just as clarification, I believe Mr. Schukert said that alternative tax budget was for 2021, but is it for 2021 or is it for 2022?
2022.
Just for clarification, that's all I wanted to know.
Thank
And
you.
then did we need to select board members for the benefits?
The health costs.
Yeah, the health benefits liaison.
So Mrs. Etter, you and I talked today, and I think you're willing to do it, and you and I did it last year. Unless other board members would like to have a role in that, I'm happy to continue it. But
Yes, I am also. It was left open, and so if we'd like to finalize that.
Add to the list. We'll add that onto the sheet. So
If that's agreeable to all the other board members.
No, absolutely fine with that. So thank you.
Me too, thank you. Okay, any other discussion?
just that at some point in time, with the way the written print is, it's kind of done. I'm sure some legislation will take place, but we still use the plain dealer as our where we post, and it's, you know, I think they're printing it 4 days a week right now, but I'm sure that with the way social media is used at some point in time, there might be some changes legislatively done to that, and we'll address that when we need to make that happen. So
Would the alternative be like Cleveland.com or something like that then?
I've heard some discussion about it. They're not ready to move on it yet. Most of the major cities still have a newspaper in place, and with the smaller rural districts, a lot of them have like a county publication that still takes place. The other drop back to us but they don't cover us anymore. What used to be the Sun Post.
Okay.
But you know, when they changed maybe 8 or 9 years ago, they really don't. They cover Garfield and East, and then they cover Parma and West.
Yeah.
One section does, you know, it's like 5 or 6 sections that make it up. So we really don't get any coverage in the Sun Post like we used to. So
Okay. Thank
that
you.
was their decision, not ours. They just kind of, when they redivvied, they reduced the number of papers they were printing, and they redivvied the communities up. We ended up with nobody. So
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I just had one other item I wanted just to discuss or clarify. It was 6G in regards to applying for state and federal funds or extra funds for the district. I'm remembering that Dr. Caleres did that at some point, and I wonder if that's also a job within the job for the assistant superintendent.
it is, but I'm the one that signs off on them. So I pass the buck off to Mr. Young, and I make him do all the hard work, and then I put my name at the bottom of the grant when it's all said and done. So
Because I do recall from some things in the past.
yeah,
So, okay.
I'm still listed as I'm still the one that has to go in and sign off on the grant. Matt does the 75 pages of work, and then I go to the last page and I check a box at the bottom of it. So.
Sounds like a good working relationship.
Okay, can we have roll call for that? Approval of the consent agenda.
Mr. Suchaki,
Aye.
Mr. Naaman,
Hi.
Mr. Dobbins,
Aye.
Mrs. Etter,
Aye.
Mrs. Schuker.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to section 8, comments from the public, and we do take public comments. Actually, I'll read the thing. Board of urges public comment on educational issues. In regards to public comments, we do not generally respond to them when they are presented. Do I have to read through all these? I don't think I do. I'm not gonna read through all of them. It's listed because it talks about like Zoom meeting. But I know that when we are remote like this with meetings, we do take comments from the public if people call in.
Right. Matt, is there anybody in the waiting room? Matt Hartman? Or Dave? And I didn't receive any emails to be read, so I'm guessing by the non-responsive, there's nobody in the waiting room that would wanted to make a comment.
I don't see anybody in the waiting room.
Okay.
Thank you. Moving on to item 9. I will hand it over to Mr. Muccio, Treasurer's Business.
Thank you, Mrs. Schukert. Just a few items for tonight. 9A, motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held December 9th, 2020 as found in attachment T1. Item 10A, motion to accept the bank reconciliation 30th, 2020 is prepared and certified by the treasurer as accurate as found in attachment T2. Item 10B, motion to accept the funds associated with the GPD Employees Foundation Grant in the amount of $5,205. A new account 019-921C will be created entitled GPD Employees Foundation Grant fiscal year 21. And item 10C, motion to approve new vendors to the school district for W-9s attached as found in attachment T3. As for motions 9A, 10A through 10C.
Can I have a motion for the Treasurer's Business?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Naaman,
Second,
seconded by Mrs. Etter, just slightly beat you out.
Beat me out that time, huh?
Any discussion?
Just have a couple things I wanted to point out. I'm going to circle back to the alternative tax budget, which is item 060. We have somebody, Danny has entered the waiting room. So that's in the waiting room. That just popped up.
Are you okay to stop what you're doing, Mr. Muccio? Do you think before you start going? We know that might go a while.
Absolutely, not a problem at all.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Walsh, can you let?
Yeah, Danny should be in the meeting now.
Hey, could you please introduce yourself? And make your comments.
Danny, can you hear us? We're not getting any sound.
If we can't, Matt, can you get the email address? I'll shoot the person an email tomorrow, and I'll talk to them and see that, make sure that we get whatever comments they have read into the next meeting or brought before the board. So
I would say too, I mean, if they want to call my cell number, I could put them on live, live that way if it works, because my number is a public record. If they want to be heard today.
Yeah, it looks like Danny dropped off.
Okay. Mr. Muccio, back to you. Thank you for being patient.
No worries. So just circling back to item 60, the alternative tax budget, there were no surprises, nothing out of the ordinary. Our alternative tax budget is not a full tax budget. The county's asking for alternative information to complete the requirement for the tax budget. I just wanted to point out 5 key items, and also wanted to point out that our alternative tax budget also follows our 5-year forecast, which in my eyes is kind of the master plan that we have for our financial position for the school district. So our 5-year forecast, this alternative tax budget follows that. For the key items that we have, number 1, overall valuation increased for tax year 2020, $395,500,270 from tax year 2019 at $388 million. Public utility personal property valuation increased for tax year 2020. That's $77,889,000. I'm going to round from tax year 2019, which was $76,649,000. Number 3, public utility personal property valuation has increased every year since tax year 2012, when it was $33,382,000. Number 4, on the assessed valuations report, which is page 6 of 14, our public utility personal property valuation of $77,889,000 is third highest in the county behind Cleveland and Bedford. And number 5, on page 4 of 14, tax year 2020, estimated tax revenue at 100% collection is $12,539,884. And that's an increase over tax year 2019's amount of $12,336,493. We'll move on to item 10A, our financial reports. There's nothing out of the ordinary on these reports. We're keeping on track. One thing I might want to do for the next board meeting is kind of really go in depth, because that's going to be the middle of our fiscal year. That's going to be our financial reports as of December 31st. So I really like to talk about the financial reports at the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and then the end of the fiscal year. So next month, I'll kind of dive in a little bit to those financial reports, probably spend about 15 minutes going through those and just pointing out some items that we have. Item 10B is the new grant that we have from GPD. Matt Young, throw this to you if you wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Can you hear me? Is everybody good? Okay. So annually, GPD, they provide up to $20,000 through their foundation grant. It's a K through 12 grant program that can be used for various items. It can be used for food, manipulative supplies, technology, health and hygiene, or mental health improvement. And this year, we applied under the technology umbrella to receive a device called a swivel. A swivel is basically it's a robot, and you put an iPad into that robot, and that robot will follow the teacher 360 degrees around the room and allows you to set up stations within the room so that you can enhance the remote learning experience for students who are not in the classroom. And the target group for this is our resource room classrooms. Because beyond this pandemic environment we've been in, we often have students who, because of health reasons, they just can't be in school as often as their peers. So this is going to allow us to continue to engage those students, not only when they're in school, but when they're out of school in a 360-degree classroom experience. So we applied for 3 of those devices. We have 2 resource rooms, and then we have an extra device that we could pilot in any of our other classrooms, especially those that have a performance-based component to them. I know some school districts had invested much money into purchasing these at the beginning of the school year, but we wanted to go kind of small scale and really do something for our students who are most at risk of missing out on school in any given environment. And this is going to allow them to stay connected. Elena Paparizos had piloted one of these devices through the Lorain County ESC, and she absolutely loved it. She had great success with our students in that classroom, and this was an opportunity to apply for it. And we were very fortunate to receive just over $5,200 to purchase the 3 robotic devices and the iPads, and then all the accessories that go with us to make our classrooms fully accessible for our students, whether they're in the classroom or sitting at home. They're going to be part of the learning environment.
Thank you, Mr. Young. And then item 10C, which is the new vendors. We have Swivel that Mr. Young was just talking about, as well as another vendor for the 3D printer that went along with another grant that we have. Close up here, and completes discussion from my side.
I'd like to thank Mr. Young and everyone, and Mr. Muccio and everyone who was involved in securing that grant from GPD. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other discussion about the treasurer's business? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the treasurer, or I already did that, right? Roll call then.
Mr. Naaman.
Aye.
Mrs. Etter,
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins,
Aye.
Mr. Suchaki,
Aye.
Mrs. Schuker.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Next, treasurer's discussion. So it's you, Mr. Muccio.
Just had a couple items I wanted to point out. 12A is calendar year-end review. Just wanted to talk about a couple items. Number one, we completed our accounting. So this is just kind of a review of calendar year 2020. We completed our accounting system conversion in 2020. So that was from the state software to the new state software redesign. And we closed USAS and USPS for calendar year 2020 in the redesign, which was new. So that was a big feat that we also completed in calendar year 2020. Number two, we completed our 1099. We're hoping to complete our 1099s by Friday, January 15th, and we will mail those out. Number three is completing our W-2s by Friday, January 15th, and we plan to mail those out, and they will also be available online on the employee kiosk that we have. And again, I would just like to thank Yelixa Rodriguez, HR and Payroll Specialist, and Kathy Martin, Assistant Treasurer, for all of their work and leadership in the redesign, conversion, and closing calendar year in 2020. Huge efforts on both their sides. They did a great job, tremendous job, and I just want to praise them and give them as much thanks as I possibly can. They're outstanding in what they do. 12B is dental and vision insurance plans. This was another big item that we had for calendar year 2020. So we have completed our switch of district-wide dental and vision insurance plans from Medical Mutual of Ohio to Delta Dental and VSP. Both plans are effective January 1st, 2021. And again, I would like to thank Yelixa Rodriguez, HR and Payroll Specialist, as she was the lead and point person for the switch. She did an incredible job. It was outstanding. Working on this in the fourth quarter of 2020, as well as everything else with the new accounting system and closing calendar year, and it's a huge task. So I just want to publicly thank Yelixa. She was outstanding in that role. So that's all I have for that.
Thank you to all three of you for working so hard in such an important department for a district. Anything else, Mr. Muccio, in your comments?
That's all I have.
Okay, moving on. Mr. Evans, you're up.
Right. 13, superintendent's business, general business. A, motion to approve the miscellaneous pay rates for the 21 schedule as revised per the state minimum wage increase effective January 1st, 2021. 14A, motion to approve the listed individuals on the supplemental contracts and the stipulated positions for the 2021 school year per the adopted wage schedule contingent upon successful completion of the BCI fingerprint background proper certification. And that's going to be removed. That's for the ski club advisors. I'm sorry. So 14A will be off. 14B is motion to approve the employment of Michael Brin as the head boys varsity baseball coach for the 2021 school year per the adopted wage schedule contingent upon successful completion of the BCI FBI fingerprint checks and proper certification. And superintendent's business agreements, contracts, and memberships. A, motion to approve agreement with Giant Rock Assigning LLC to assign officials to all the high schools home regular season boys baseball, girls softball games during the 2021 season per the attached agreement. And I ask that those items be considered by the board.
At this time, I'll take a motion to approve the superintendent's business consent agenda motions.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Dobbins, or no, that was Mr. Naaman.
I'll take the second.
Seconded by Mr. Dobbins. Okay. Any discussion, Mr. Evans?
The miscellaneous pay rates, the only change was we brought one had to be raised because the minimum wage was raised, and that's the I'll open it up here on my screen. That was the cashiers for the pool and the fitness center, which it's on there. We haven't used those in the last year. So we had previously adjusted some of the other wages with some of the temporary part-time help, but I think right now we're in line with where we're at on our miscellaneous pay rates. And our boys varsity baseball coach, I met Mr. Bren today. He's a teacher at Strongsville. He's a Holy Name graduate. Nice young man. I talked with Mark Lowther. Mark was very involved in the hiring process as well. Mark feels that this is a really good hire for him. Actually, my understanding was that last time around we tried to hire him, and he didn't take the job at that time. So he's excited, young guy. Understands we've got a pretty good baseball tradition at Cuyahoga Heights. So looking forward to that. John Rock's the assigner for all the baseball and softball officials. Probably one of the most thankless jobs in the world with the way things get canceled and rescheduled in the spring. And that's all I had. Any questions?
All right, hearing none, roll call, please. Mr. Muccio?
You're muted, Matt.
Mute. You're still muted.
All right, am I all muted?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? All right, Mr. Newman,
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins,
Aye.
Mrs. Etter,
Aye.
Mr. Suchaki,
Aye.
Mr. Schuker.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Mr. Evans, you're still up with discussions and comments.
Yeah, I'm going to read the statement I've gotten there in public content. Second, I want to just go over some other things. First of all, thanks to Mr. Dobbins for your leadership as board president this last year, and all the board. This is OSBA Board Recognition Month, and we're going to make sure at the next meeting in person to recognize this board. You're a pleasure to work with. You put students first, and that's all any superintendent could ever ask. Mr. Schuker, I'll be getting the agenda review schedule out to you, and then we can discuss how you want to go about that. We'll work on that this week. We've got the return date set for January 19th. Right now, that's a Tuesday. We're going to discuss that in an admin meeting tomorrow. The only change I might see is that Friday before, making that a professional development day for the teachers, so we can move some equipment back into the building and they can get resituated. I'd probably leave the building open all weekend to get ready for that Tuesday start. But we're keeping our fingers crossed that nothing crazy happens with the COVID numbers. Vaccine update, Mr. Dobbins asked me before the meeting. I was out at the first ring. I've been maybe a little bit of a pain in the health department's butt because I've been calling them on a regular basis because I want to make sure we get kind of the front of the line on this. We've offered, in the past, we've offered flu shots to take place on site for our staff members. My understanding is that may not be able to happen with this vaccine because of the temperatures it has to be kept at. But I do want to make sure we've talked to both Marymount and Parma's community outreach people about if it's possible to set up a block of time for our people to come over, like on a Wednesday between 7 and 9 in the morning, and we can let all of our staff know that they can shuffle over and get their shots at a specific time, anybody that wants to. So I'm anticipating getting some more information from the health department this week. What they've said has been very vague to this point. But I think they're going to set up centers at different places. I also said that we would be willing to be a site for shots. We could use our auxiliary gym and people could park there, could come from districts around. I said we're centrally located. A lot of districts could get here relatively quickly when it comes to that 1B, the school part of the personnel. So I've thrown that offer out there to the health department. Legislative, I'll give you an update on Friday with a lot of the lame ducks. A couple of the biggies, the funding didn't go through, the Cup Patterson, and Senator Dolan has some. And now Senator Dolan and Senator Huffman, I sent you something from Senator Huffman. Senator Huffman has his own plan. Nobody knows what that looks like. I said that I'm very skeptical, quite honestly. Senator Dolan did say that there were a lot of parts of the Cup Patterson that he wants to see incorporated in the state budget. So we're going to kind of try to hold him to that as they start to develop the state budget process. He just sent an email out to all of us that he'll be in contact with us on that. So looking forward to that. Ballot language legislation did not get changed. I know they were looking to change some ballot language for levies, and that did not get changed. David Seep has talked to us about that. And also there was some complaint for property tax complaint, although I think the feeling is that that's going to be re-brought back up with the next go around. Matt and Jim Zerbola and I met with a group that sells air purifiers that do about 1,500 square foot area. My thought is, as we're getting back into the buildings, especially because we have steam heat, we we don't move a lot of air around, that in some of our classrooms that we buy air purifiers and put them in those classrooms. This is just one more thing to help with COVID. You know, we're going to have masks, we got the desk shields, we got social distancing, and air. I think some air purifiers provide us another layer of protection. So we're doing a little bit of research on that. So we may be coming back to the board at the end of the month to purchase some air purifiers for our classrooms. The governor's new guidelines on quarantine. You saw where one district, like I think Matt's district, Wadsworth, said that 90% of their kids then would not have had them in quarantine. We're just the opposite. Most of our quarantines have been extracurricular related. We've had very few quarantines from in-school transmission or students. And I think we maybe had 2 cases. So out of all of our quarantines, I would say less than 10 kids that were quarantined were due to a close contact, a primary contact in the school setting. But that's really the only changes there, because the athletic stuff stays the same and extracurricular stuff stays the same. And then started talking with both unions. We've got collective bargaining. Remember, we rolled the contracts over this year with both groups. So I did talk to both Chad and Chase and said, we're going to get the wheels turning on that. We will talk as an admin team. I've notified John Britton. It seemed like from my discussion with area superintendents, it seems like every school district in the county is going to be negotiating this year. So it's, if they're willing to get ours started a little bit earlier, then we can, I think, get it done. I don't know that either group has a major issue. There's some language that needs to be cleaned up in that, but that's it on that. I'm going to read the statement that I had here. I had received some inquiries, when the Indians made their announcement about moving away from the mascot. We've had a discussion. We had discussions prior to school, and we've been discussing as a board. But this is discussion about the school mascot. With the announcement of the Cleveland baseball team moving to a new mascot in 2022, there have been inquiries to our district of the status of our mascot. As stated that the Board of Education granted me the time to return our students to our classrooms before we undertook the mascot discussion. When students are back in school, we will conduct a community meeting for the discussion of the mascot to assist us in determining how we will proceed. I realize that there are strong feelings on both sides of this issue and want to provide a forum for those concerned to have been heard. Thank you for your patience with this process. So I just want to let people know that it hasn't gone away. But when we talked in the fall, the board, you guys did grant me the opportunity to let's get teaching back to normal. Then we take this on. We're still going to do this. And right now, the holdup would be that we can't have a meeting of that size for the discussion purposes. We're still limited. There's still some limitations on meeting sizes at this point. So, that will be forthcoming. And I would foresee that not being necessarily a board meeting, but a community discussion meeting, and would ask the board members to attend that. So that's where we're at on that. That process hasn't gone away. There's, I'll get a random email from one of the media outlets. We're still, it's still on the table for us. It just, with COVID, the education of our students kind of is our first, second, and third priority. We will certainly address the mascot, but also allow people to have their say on this too. I know that there's a lot, as I said, there's a lot of feelings about this, and want to give people the opportunity to be heard, and then we'll make a decision and move forward with that. So, thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Moving on to item 18, board business resolutions. We have one. I'll make a motion to approve the membership of the Ohio School Boards Association, including briefcase option 1, email delivery only for calendar year 2021 at a cost of $5,363. I'll make a motion. Would anyone like to second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Naaman. Any discussion?
Yes, I'm a non-educator serving in a board capacity, and I've had very positive. I've realized many positive benefits from our membership in the OSBA as a board member. So I'm happy to continue our membership with the organization. It's helped me as a board member in so many ways, whether it be climbing the learning curve or specialized training, or even the legislative updates that they push out. And I realize Mr. Evans and Mr. Muccio oftentimes get duplicates of those, but it helps me as a board member to understand where the OSBA wise with respect to particular issues. So I heartily endorse it.
Agree. I like the networking, like when we go to events and things like that, meeting board members from around the state, I think is really helpful to get ideas and share, what works and what doesn't. Okay. So any other discussion on that? Hearing none, roll call, please, Mr. Muccio.
Mrs. Schukert,
Aye.
Mr. Naaman,
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins,
Aye.
Mrs. Etter,
Aye.
and Mr. Suchaki.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Next up, item 19, the board policy adoption. These are the second readings, so do we need to go through anything? Mr. Evans, what would you recommend?
I know it seems like forever since we did that, went through these, but were there any questions? Again, all these are legislative based, and Mr. Young got to breathe a sigh of relief for about 10.5 seconds because this finished up the batch of new policy changes based on legislation that was passed. And now with the lame duck just getting done, Mr. Young's going to get a packet that's about 500 pages thick by the end of January with new policies to start going through. So his rest will be short-lived when it comes to addressing policies, but everything that's on there are based on the legal, the changes in law legislature. So.
Do I need to go through like the numbers, or it's
No,
okay?
I would just say to approve the policies as listed.
Okay, to review the policies as listed A through L. And thank you to Mr. Young for getting us on track. Continuing to keep us on track, I should say. Anything else with that? All right, board consent agenda. We really already went through the resolution. There is nothing to approve, correct?
No, you have to approve that second reading on
Oh,
this.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the board's business consent agenda motions?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Naaman and seconded by
Second.
Mr. Dobbins. Discussion? There's none. So Mr. Muccio, roll call.
Mr. Naaman,
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins,
Aye.
Mrs. Etter,
Aye.
Mr. Suchaki,
Aye.
Mrs. Schukert.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Next up, board discussions, committee reports and comments. I'm just going to go left to right on my screen if that's okay. Mr. Dobbins, do you have anything that you want to say?
I don't have anything in particular, but I do want to thank Mr. Evans, Mr. Muccio, and the entire staff at Cuyahoga Heights for the past year in which I had a privilege to serve as president. I really appreciate Mr. Evans and Mr. Muccio's literal open door policies. It's very, very helpful, and I very much appreciate it, particularly in this truly extraordinary past year that we've all lived through, and that our district has done a fantastic job rising to the challenges. So that's all I have, and I thank you to Mr. Evans, Mr. Muccio, and everyone on the team.
Excellent. Mr. Suchaki, I have you next on my screen.
Well, that's fine. The Career Center's organizational meeting is tomorrow, so I will not have any report on that until our next meeting. And Happy New Year, everyone. And that's it.
Thank you. Next up, Mrs. Evans or Mrs. Etter, you just passed Mr. Naaman on my screen. That was bizarre.
Okay.
Etter.
All right. Hello, everyone. Just want to say that the Valley View Council last night approved me as the school board liaison for the Economic Development Grant Committee. So wanted to let you guys know that. And I just like to say a big thank you to GPD and their employees foundation, that grant to provide that swivels to our resource students, resource room students, and where else we might be able to use that. That's very generous, and I'd just like to publicly thank them for giving us that opportunity for our students. And I think that's it this evening.
Thank you. Last but not least, Mr. Naaman.
Thanks. No, just briefly, I'd just like to thank Mr. Dobbins for his leadership through, the 2020 year. I know it's been a difficult year for the district and actually the country and everything else with COVID and everything else. And I appreciate your leadership through that time frame. I also want to congratulate to Mrs. Schuker. Thank you for stepping up and taking the president role to the board. I look forward to the upcoming year. And Mr. Shockey too, as well. Thank you for taking the vice president, and I look forward to that. Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you. I just wanted to echo, it stinks being last at this because everyone takes the ideas that you're going to say, but just echoing Mrs. Utter, thank you to GPD for the grant. I can't even wrap my head around a 360 camera thingy. So if there's any way that we could get information, I don't want to break it down and know every part of it, but just if they do anything exciting or any projects, if the teacher wants to share with us, that would be exciting.
Absolutely. Mrs. Paparizos is a rock star, and within a week of using this thing, it was absolutely unbelievable. I mean, it was one of those things where I couldn't walk by the room and not stick my head in and watch what was going on when she was using it. Yeah, we'll have a demonstration because it's really, I can just see some of our art teachers and our science teachers that are trying to do hands-on things via video, that just the application that would have for them to expand what they can do with the students. Really, really neat.
And what a perfect example of a silver lining in all of this craziness with remote learning. I mean, it really is some of the things that are coming out, and our kids need to be or get to be part of it. How exciting. Last but not least, I want to thank you, Mr. Dobbins, your professionalism, your continued just patience, and your just hard work. You did very well. And I will tell you, just running one meeting remotely, it's not as easy as you made it look. So thank you for all of your service to our board. I look forward to this year. So moving on, future agenda items. Anybody have any future agenda items?
Just curious about the band room repairs. Do we have any update on that, or we're getting another update on that soon?
They're coming in, I believe, this Friday to meet with us on some of those things. So GPD and a couple of their engineers, because I think they're going to look at the pool and the band room at that point in time. So they do a real good job of staying in touch with us on that. I think they were having a hard time maybe getting some people out to do some of the quotes, quite honestly. To do more than one. I knew they had one or two contractors available, but I think that, we always want to kind of see three on that stuff. And I think that maybe the third one was a little bit of a stumbling block trying to get somebody out there to do that. So
these are difficult times to do things like that. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Especially during the holidays too. That's a kind of a hard time to find people. Okay. Moving on to item 23, it should be noted that the Board of Education members received their agenda several days prior to the actual meeting. Thus, they've had considerable opportunity to study it, ask questions, etc. Item B, the notice is hereby given that the Cuyahoga Heights Schools alternative tax budget for fiscal year 2021, right? Not 2022.
22.
Oh, okay. 2022 is available for public inspection in the Office of the Treasurer. Upcoming board meetings, they will begin at 7 p.m. They are all on Wednesdays, January 20th, February 10th, February 24th, and March 10th, 2021. At this moment, I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Motion moved by Mr. Naaman.
Second.
Sweet. You. Second by Mr. Dobbins. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. Roll call.
Mr. Naaman.
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins.
Aye.
Mrs. Utter.
Aye.
Mr. Suchaki.
Aye.
Mr. Schuker.
Aye. Motion is approved 5-0. It is 10:55 PM and this might be the shortest first of the year meeting I've ever been part of. Have a good evening, everybody.
Yeah, take care, everybody. Have a good
Night,
evening.
all.